Good morning again, guys. Okay, still 9/11, 20 years later. Now, I think by now you know me. I'm not going to kowtow to the talking points that anybody wants to put out there. I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm also not going to be one that's going to allow Biden's debacle in Afghanistan to be pushed off to the side and forgotten about. And not that this channel has any sort of massive reach, but hopefully y'all will share this with some other people because the public has a right to know this. And the media, the White House, is doing their damnedest to spin the news back to coronavirus and Biden's fiasco of a speech the other day, away from the complete mismanagement and disaster that Afghanistan was. Now, the New York Times, the old gray birdcage liner, who I have about next to no respect for, every once in a while does their job and reports news and not propaganda. Last night, they published a story about the investigation into the drone strike that the Biden administration performed, I guess, for lack of a better term, about a week ago, where they claimed that there was an imminent threat of a guy that was part of ISIS-K that was bringing a carload of explosives to Kabul airport. Now, it was a little hokey at the beginning when I believe it was Peter Doocy from Fox News, because he's about the only one in the press conferences who will ask anything but a softball question of circle back Psaki. But he asked who was the target. And of course, the White House and everybody involved didn't give an answer. Okay. Oh, it was just a high-value target. Well, the investigation has now been completed. This was a civilian guy who had just finished driving people to work, and what he was loading into his car were cans of water to take back home to his family. He was also a U.S. aid worker, helping people in Afghanistan with things like food and water. This is how incompetent this administration is. This is what they are trying to divert attention from. Again, this is a news story, again, like I said, coming out of the New York Times, miraculously posted Friday night. All my theories on Friday night, let's just bury it on a Friday when nobody pays attention. Sorry, guys. I pay attention. I don't have a big platform, but there's 40,000 people that follow this channel. And those people, if they told two people, and so on, and so on, and so on, like that old 1970s shampoo commercial, maybe this would be news. Maybe the American people would know that 46 is so freaking incompetent that he bombed a U.S. aid worker. The guy was an Afghani citizen, but he was working for a U.S. aid system. And we decided he was a terrorist. Okay. We don't want to go back to the fact that, oh, was it 4 guys that were traded for Bo Bergdahl, that were held in Gitmo, are now part of the Taliban government. Okay. People that we held as high value terrorists are now part of the government that we just gave the country back to. There's a little catch with this problem that Joe might want to worry about. It's called international law. Okay. International law permits targeted killings. A high value target, if this guy was actually hauling explosives with the attempt to blow up the airport or whatever it is, international law permits a drone strike on him, okay? Under very restricted circumstances. The guy must be an enemy combatant, he must pose an imminent threat, and the attack must minimize the risk to civilians. Water's not explosive, guys. So by doing this, by targeting him, he wasn't collateral damage, guys. This was the target. By targeting this gentleman, the Biden administration has violated international law. Considering the circumstances in Afghanistan at the moment, this is a war crime. Think about that for a second. War crimes. Nuremberg trials. Remember what they did with those guys? They were found guilty and instantly, right there in the courtroom, hung. Same thing here that Joe has done. That anybody that was involved in this has done. They've committed a war crime. I can't remember the name of the Navy SEAL. Was it Gallagher, I believe his name was, a couple of years ago? That was all over the news, that supposedly committed a war crime because he had killed an Afghani suspect. They made all sorts of news about that. The guy who was a terrorist. This is an aid worker. That's who Joe killed. To make matters worse, and how it kind of affects us, there was a talking head on MSNBC yesterday talking about drone strikes, who publicly came out and said that the Biden administration should start doing drone strikes on talking heads that are pushing back against the mandates from the other day. He was mentioning radio personalities specifically, that the Biden administration should literally assassinate those people. In that case, am I on a hit list? Pinball out.